Welcome back, everyone, to the Here's Johnny podcast, where we take deep dives in the horror genre with our focus mainly being on film and video games. My name is Larry.
And my name is Justin.
Welcome back, sir.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been quite a week.
You tested my technological capabilities last week.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Before we even get into the plugs, I just want to say you need to watch the second and third Rec movies. They're fantastic. They're some of my favorite movies.
It's my fault. I don't know. I'm not a really big sequel fan if the sequels weren't like intentionally planned. It's stupid, I know, but it's mainly I don't know. I don't care for them. But I've heard good things.
I mean, the second movie is really kind of pushing it. I think like it's a direct sequel, but you can tell it wasn't planned. But after that, they go in like the Resident Evil movie. Well, that's a bad way of putting it, but maybe like the old Friday the 13th movies where they're kind of connected, but they're mostly just...
Yeah, but the old Friday the 13th movies, you end up going to Manhattan, and then you go to hell, and then you go to space, and then somehow Freddy Krueger gets involved. I mean, do you see my point with the sequels, Justin? Can you understand why I'm not a fan?
But I mean, like, I think the second one takes place in like the exact same building, but the third one takes place in at like a Greek, I think, wedding, and the fourth one takes place on a boat. So okay, yeah, I see where they started to veer off there, going on a boat, but I don't think they've made any more. I think they learned their lesson.
All right, I'll check it out. But if you want to get a hold of the show and let us know what you think about Rec 2 and Rec 3 and horror sequels in general, you can email us at here'sjohnnypodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, you can find me at BeaverLA.
And me at Pickle Thing. You can find the show at Here's Johnny Cast. And as always, the link to the Discord will be in the show notes.
You can find us on Facebook at Here's Johnny Podcast. Our website, which will also be included in the show notes, has so much information on it, from the subcategories to our video game and movie master list, to a little bit of bios on Justin and I. And hopefully this week, my plan is to have our ranking and scores added to the website as well. But with all that being said, plugs are done. Justin, tell me what's been happening with you the last 2 weeks.
Last Saturday, I had another kid, so nothing.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Just a lot of sleep, and a
lot of sleep.
Well,
good for you. Your wife must be pissed.
No, just a lot of waking sleep. Kind of, you blink and you think, "Oh, how long have my eyes been closed?" But yeah, other than that, just like I beat Kingdom Hearts 2 for like the 20th time.
Yeah, see, I'm saving Kingdom Hearts for closer to January. I want to play 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep before the 3 comes out.
See, I've only played 1 and 2. I've never played Birth by Sleep. So whenever I go back over 1 and 2, I always just like skip all the cutscenes except for the good ones that I know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never played Birth by Sleep, so I kind of want to get it started now.
It's very, very good. I've actually never played the remastered ones. I got it originally on the PSP, but 1 and 2 are fantastic. But I actually put Birth by Sleep up there in quality with 1 and 2. I like it a lot.
Oh, really? Yeah, like I also picked up like the 2.8 remix. I don't know what's on there, but it was on sale for like $10. So
there's so much crazy stuff. It's crazy the amount of crap that came out between 2 and 3. It's ridiculous. There could be a whole podcast dedicated to that crap.
There could be.
Not from me. You gotta find someone else.
No, that's okay. I don't have time for that. What about you, Larry? What have you been up to?
Sure. So I've been continuing to play Final Fantasy IX. I'm going for the platinum. It's going to take me at least 2 playthroughs. The second playthrough is going to be a speed run to get Excalibur. But
so how long do you have to get to the? Is it like 4 hours?
Like 4 hours.
So I know that there's a way that people have it. So if you go to right before you go into like the final area there that you get Excalibur in, if you let the game time go to 99 hours, 99 minutes, it'll reset.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, and you can actually go there. Like, you can get it all done in one playthrough.
That wouldn't be bad, but I don't mind it either. I think it would kind of be fun. I like doing speedruns. Like I mentioned a little bit, like I did it with 7 and I did it with 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 1 and 2, and 4. But I don't know. I'm excited. It's been kind of sloggy because I've never really been a big fan of Chocobo Hot and Cold or Tetramaster.
You know what?
And some of the trophies, some of the trophies are tied to that stuff. So,
Chocobo Hot and Cold, my favorite mini game. I won't lie. I love it.
are you serious?
Yeah, I'm amazing at it. I don't know what it is.
There is something actually wrong with you. This is my first time ever like really trying to do it, and it's frustrating as all get out.
Is it just because you're not getting the chocographs?
Yeah, I can't find anything. Yeah, and it's like I'll sit there for an hour and a half and get a chocograph once. It's I hate it. But alas, what are you gonna do? And then the other thing I did this week is I watched the pseudo documentary Demon House. Have you heard of this one, Justin?
I have not.
Do you know who Zach Baggins is?
Nope. Surprising nobody.
Zach Baggins is the host of Ghost Adventures. I bet if you saw him, you would know him. He's a big old douchey dude with like spiky black hair, super jacked, and he's always like telling the ghosts to come and fight him when he goes into the haunted places. Okay. So I'll put that out there. But even with all that, I love Ghost Adventures, and I think I mentioned in the pilot. I went to this place called Letchworth Insane Asylum up in New York State, and we did a little bit of urban exploration up in there. And he actually did an episode there, so it was kind of cool to see him going to places where I was at too. Granted, I did it illegally, so I have a little more cred than he does. But no, Demon House is, I don't know. You have to watch it, but basically there was this haunting of his house in 2014 in Indiana in the United States. And when Baggins heard about it, he bought the house, and it's kind of like his experiences bringing people in and stuff with the house. It's probably all fake, man, but it's enjoyable to watch. I mean, I'm not dumb. I know it's probably fake, but it is some good crap to watch. But no, Demon House. It's on Amazon Prime. It was free, and I always like checking out movies like that. And the thing is like I thought there were some parts where it's actually scary. I mean, it was filmed in such a way where it was intriguing and it was like made you a little nervous. I mean, it was probably all crap, but it was fun. I liked it.
Oh well, that's good. At least you liked it.
All right, Justin. So with that, plugs are done. We've updated everybody what we've been up to. Let's say we take this on over to the news. Welcome to the news section. Justin, would you like to lead us off with your game corner?
Yeah, sure. So, I don't know if you remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that the Capcom was looking into bringing back some of their old franchises.
Yes, you talked about the potential of Clock Tower 3 being revamped.
So, I guess some people have talked to the Resident Evil 2 remake director, and in the interview, they were asking him like, "Oh, what games could possibly be remade?" Sorry, you'll get it when I get there. You'll get why I'm laughing. But so he did mention that Sweet Home was a possibility, but the biggest thing he mentioned was that they're also considering doing a remake of Resident Evil 1 again.
Oh my god! You see, Justin, like in audience, in case this is your first time listening to the Here's Johnny podcast, I don't like remakes as a base rule. There are some that are good. Like I think the first Rob Zombie Halloween is a very good film. I happened to think that the Resident Evil remake for the GameCube and then the port onto the PS4 was very good. Stuff like this is dumb. Make Resident Evil 8. Just stop it.
Or just even like they have a bunch of other franchises that they could go back to. Like I don't know if you've ever played the Dino Crisis games.
I have not.
It's Resident Evil but with dinosaurs. It's pretty fun.
That sounds like I would enjoy that.
Yeah. But I mean, they have stuff like that. Like they could even if they weren't ready to go on to 8, I mean, I'd be happy if they did a 3 remake, or like they don't need to keep going back to number 1.
All right, what's next? Thank you for that story, Justin. We appreciate you sharing.
So the next piece of news I have is the Omen-inspired video game series, Lucius. The 3rd game in that series is coming out this year.
Did not know that there was a series, let alone that they were on 3.
Yeah, so apparently 1 was like I even myself, I played a little bit of 1. It was fun. It's buggy as hell. But apparently 2 just bombed really bad, and nobody really expected this. They haven't really shown off much, but it's just the kid, Lucius, sitting on a fence. That's it, really. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll hear more soon. It's like it's a throwaway game. It'll be fun, but I don't think it'll make a big splash. Yeah, and for the 3rd piece of news I have is that the mutant cannibal game, The Forest, is coming to PlayStation 4. It's coming with multiplayer mode intact, and it's coming in November, actually, so not too far off.
Nice. I will give a little peek behind the curtains for our audience. You will hear about The Forest again in the coming weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Just going to let it sit there and dangle.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, dangled. So they just said that they were originally going to bring the single player only, but figured out that once they implemented the multiplayer mode.
Yeah, and I've talked to a few people, a few friends who I saw had it on Steam, and I asked them about it, and they said not only is the game fun, but apparently it's a lot of fun to play with somebody else. Apparently the cannibal AI, from what I heard, is impressive. Like, apparently that's like the most impressive part of the game, is how the cannibals are intuitive, which to me is a lot of fun. I think one of the best parts about Fallout 4 is that there are different enemy types who will attack you differently,
Yeah.
So to play a game like this, where not only you're building your base and trying to like discover what the secrets of the island, but to have a smart and intuitive enemy is pretty cool. I think that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and like even the developers agree. Like they said that multiplayer is really like the best way to experience it. Like they don't suggest playing it alone. I mean, obviously, if you can only play it single player, it can still be done. And that's still the way they originally built it as, but apparently there's nothing beats multiplayer in that game, so yeah.
It's always fun to play with a friend.
Yeah, and it comes out on November 6th, so I don't know. I hope to play it soon. So the last piece of news I bring is something that I actually heard last week. I'm really looking forward to this, and this actually really excites me, but the Until Dawn developers, Supermassive Games, have announced that they are creating what they call the Dark Pictures Anthology. So it's going to be a series of standalone games. I think they said there's going to be like 39 of them, and they are going to be releasing 2 every year, starting in 2019, and they're all going to be horror stories. They're going to be pretty much Until Dawns, but just like one-offs.
I don't know. I kind of have a problem with that. I mean, it's kind of my feeling is why I don't like Assassin's Creed any longer. I feel that, I don't know, I feel like you're putting out that much stuff that you're losing quality, but I'm willing to see what they put out. I really enjoyed Until Dawn. I'm not really like a point and click or a let me guide you on the story, but I really, really dug Until Dawn. So I'll try it.
Yeah, they have the trailer for the first one. It's called The Man of Medan. Medan. But yeah, they have a trailer out there, and it's I don't know if you've seen it at all.
I have not. The thing about me, I don't like watching trailers for movies or games or anything. I'll watch the first one they put out just to get the hype, but
yeah,
I like to be surprised. Like I know what to expect from a God of War or a Final Fantasy or something, right? I know what to expect from that kind of game, so I'd rather not get stuff spoiled. But I don't know. I'll check it out. I'll look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It's like these 4 people that are on a dive boat. Or sorry, 5 people. I think it's 5, yeah. They're on a dive boat, and they obviously find like a quote-unquote ghost ship, and they're like, I don't know, they're trapped on there. I don't know, it looks cool. If you do get a chance, check out the trailer. Just saying, it's pretty spooky.
Speaking of ghost ship, I want to take this quick moment to apologize to our audience.
Yeah.
When I was putting together crappy ghost movies, Justin and I somehow totally forgot about Ghost Ship.
Which I feel like would be winning.
Yes, I do too. But the poll is still up there on our Twitter page. It's still pinned. It's the Survey Monkey. Hop on there and vote. We still have a few more weeks left for that. But no, sorry, we dropped the ball on that one.
That's our fault. Sorry.
We will come back to Ghosts, and I promise it will be on the next poll.
Yeah, that's all I have. I guess it's time to move on to Larry's movie notes.
I have 3 stories for this week.
Okay.
The first is one I found incredibly impressive. So this is the 3rd week in a row I think I'm mentioning The Meg.
Yeah, it is.
The Meg has made more money at the box office than Solo.
Really?
Solo capped out at $392 million, and in only 3 weeks at the box office thus far, The Meg's at $411 million.
Oh my god. So they're done making like those side stories for Star Wars, right?
I don't know if they'll be done with that, if they're going to stop ticking off their fans and fire Kathleen Kennedy and put Rian Johnson away in some deep dark box. I don't know, but when Jason Statham and his giant pet shark can beat Han Solo, you know you got a problem.
Oh my god.
You know you got to fix that. The second story that I have for you, Justin, is there's a movie called Camp Coldbrook that got a trailer. There is no release date other than it's coming out in 2018. It's directed by Andy Palmer, who really doesn't have a lot to his credit so far, but it's being produced by Joe Dante. He's famous for the original Piranha movie. He directed The Howling, which is on our list, and he also directed Small Soldiers.
Oh man, okay, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, so he's producing it.
Okay.
The 2 main stars for this film, like again, it's kind of a B movie, so it's something that impressive. But the 2 main stars are Chad Michael Murray and Danielle Harris. And I wonder, Justin, if you know who Danielle Harris is.
I have no idea who either of those people are.
Okay, well, Chad Michael Murray was a teen heartthrob like 10 years ago. But Danielle Harris has a lot of credentials when it comes to horror. She was first got pretty well known for playing the young girl Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 and 5.
Okay.
She returned to the Halloween series with Rob Zombie as Annie Brackett in both of his Halloween movies.
Okay.
And she was the main protagonist in the Hatchet film series.
Oh my god. Okay. Like the 2 and 3, right? Because I know they use different actors from the first one to the second one.
So the first one, she's in the first one. I think she's in 3, and then she's in the one called Crowley.
Okay, I haven't seen Crowley yet, but
either have I.
Okay.
But yeah, but she does have some credentials when it comes to horror, and she's pretty good at being a scream queen. So I'm excited to see her in that.
Oh, yeah.
The premise of this movie is they're ghost hunters, and it's like a mix of found footage and like actual cinematography. Basically, they just go to this haunted campground and try to see what they find, and they end up finding more than they bargained for.
Well, let's hope they don't screw it up, because I'm not a huge fan of found footage.
I agree. And then the last thing that I have is, have you heard of Eli Roth's new movie called A House with Clock in Its Walls?
I have not, no.
Okay, so it's based on a book, and it's going to be starring Jack Black and Cate Blanchett. And it's like a bunch of wizards, and there's a curse put on this house and stuff. It's made more for kids, but attached to the IMAX release of that film, they are going to be doing a Thriller 3D experience. And the Thriller is obviously Michael Jackson's famous song. The music video was directed by John Landis, who has a very impressive resume. He directed such films as Animal House, American Werewolf in London, which is on our list, and Coming to America, the one with Eddie Murphy. If you've seen that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a classic. It's so funny. But yeah, Thrillers, it's really important at least for American culture. In 2009, it was the first music video ever added to the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. It's a super cool video too. I mean, obviously the dance is very recognizable, but the zombies are scary. There's a lot to it. it's very, very good. So even if you were kind of on the fence about seeing Eli Roth take a break from his extreme gore, I am pretty excited to see what Thriller looks like on IMAX.
Yeah, that's a. I don't know if that's like a weird pairing. If it's just me.
No, I was surprised because I mean, like I said, it's not a. It is a horror movie, but it's not really. It's not really the kind of horror films that we're reviewing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is Thriller, it is zombies, and it is Michael Jackson probably at his prime. So I am excited to see that one more time. But that's all I have for this week, Justin. So we'll go ahead and wrap this section up and head on to the delayed Detention review. And here it is. Sorry, it's a week late. It wasn't because we were neglecting our gaming. It's because life finds a way to get in the way. But it's our review for the game called Detention, and Justin has a few production notes for us.
Yeah, the production notes are really just one. Actually, I got a couple. So the game was released on January 12th, 2017 on Steam Greenlight. I don't know if you've ever heard of Steam Greenlight.
I have not.
Okay, so it used to be like Steam used to have, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, they don't do it anymore, but they used to have a list of games you could pick from. And you could visit each site and you could either rate yes or no. And these are all indie games. Now, if a game got a specific amount of yeses, it would get released on Steam. And then if it didn't, it just stayed there. But I guess they got greenlit really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they put out the demo on the Steam Greenlight on June 13th in 2016. And then 7 months later, in January 12th, 2017, the game came out. The only thing I could really find about the developers is that they were inspired by their desire to see Eastern culture and have a greater representation in video games.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in the actual game review, but I think they did a good job with that.
Oh yeah, big time. It knows when and where it takes place in time, and it does a really good job.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, cool. Like I said, it's a newer game, and as it's an indie game and it's a foreign-based game, it makes sense we don't have a lot on it, but no, it was what it planned to be.
Yeah.
Moving on next, we're going to do the plot summary, but we're going to change it up this time. So after hearing some feedback from listeners, we are going to change it up so that both Justin and I are going to give 60-second plot summaries. We're each going to give ourselves 60 seconds. He's going to go, I'm going to go. He'll go first for games. I'll go first on movies. And then on Twitter, we're going to post a poll each week so you can vote and tell us who you think does a better job at the quick plot summary. Just to change it up. I mean, no one wants to let people go through, especially for movies. No one wants to hear people review. Or I got this idea just to give credit to where I got it. I like to find weird podcasts, and I found this Harry Potter podcast where these people were using the Harry Potter books as religious text, and they were doing it each chapter. So they were giving 30-second chapter summaries. And although this was, like I said, this was crazy stuff, but I really enjoyed their quick plot summaries because it kind of forced them to put stuff out there that you need to put out there. So we're going to try it for here. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. But I think this is going to be a lot better way to kind of speed through this section.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I see is when we get to this is an indie game, right? I'll put it out there right now. I think it was 3 hours long, if that. I think it'll be interesting when we get to 30-hour games.
30-hour games, or how about a 3-hour movie?
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. Yeah.
Justin, are you ready to give the audience your 60-second plot summary for Detention?
Okay. All right. Give me a countdown.
All right, I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so a boy wakes up in his Taiwanese class in the year, I think it was like 1670 or something like, not 1670, that 1970. He wakes up and the storm happens and he falls asleep on his desk. Wakes up and everybody's gone home, I think, and there's a bunch of like storms going on. Try to think of shit. What happens? Okay, yeah, and then he leaves his classroom, and there's again a bunch of storm. He runs into another student. Ray is her name. His name is Wei. Her name is Ray. And then they go to cross a bridge, I think, and it's overflown. They can't cross it. Then they hear a phone ring. Wei goes to get the phone. Something happens and we don't know what happens to him. And then we take over Ray.
Time.
Really? Oh my god. Wow.
Oh man, Justin, you did not set the bar very high for me.
So yeah, I got not even past the prologue. Wow.
Okay, I'm going to try to do a better job. Otherwise, we're going to have to figure something else out. All right, are you ready for my time?
Yeah. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh, I'm a little nervous now.
I mean, hey, on the plus side, you can just go from where I went.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, you ready? Okay,
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, a boy wakes up in an abandoned school, and he starts walking around. He runs into this girl named Ray. Him and Ray try to escape. Then some spooky crap happens, and all of a sudden, Wei is dead above the stage, and Ray is there. And Ray needs to start figuring out how to get out of this school because the bridge is washed out in a river of blood. She starts walking around the school. She has to do a bunch of puzzles. One of the puzzles includes cutting the dead body of Wei's throat. As she's moving around the school, she finds out some things about herself and her family and some teachers who are proliferating banned books because back then a lot of books and stuff were banned due to war propaganda. Then she finally figures a way out. She finds the truth behind everything that's happened. She realizes that really bad stuff happened and her parents suck. And you get the good ending, you're Ray, you go back to high school and see what happened.
That time.
That was hard. 60 seconds is not a lot of time.
I like your approach to just a very vague, like, spooky stuff.
Yeah, I just after seeing how you tried to go with a little more detail, I realized that I could not do that.
Yeah. Well, I think the only main plot point that was like really left out was that Ray was dead the whole time.
Yes, that was a big point we both missed. Yeah, Ray is the main character is dead the whole time, and yeah, but we can get into pros and cons and kind of hit that stuff here too. Yeah. So, Justin, why don't you go ahead and give me the pros you have for this?
So, story-wise, I thought it was pros. Okay, pros. It was very spooky. Mm-hmm. Very, very spooky. Especially compared to Clock Tower 3. I think they did a really good job of making a bad guy out of, I can't remember his name. Let you in behind the scenes here. I got rid of all my notes as soon as I figured we were doing the 60-second things, thinking I wouldn't need them, except for my scores.
That was a mistake.
I learned for next time. But I think they did a really good job of making the
are you talking about the counselor?
Not the counselor, the like general.
The principal?
Oh yeah. I think they did a very good job of making him the bad guy without him ever without you ever actually seeing him do anything. It was all like you saw the suggestion of him doing stuff, but you never actually saw him do anything. But I think they did a really good job of making him seem like the ultimate evil, I guess you could say. And I thought it was interesting that they dipped into like some more mature, not easily approached, rough home stuff.
Yeah, the subject matter was very heavy.
Especially like because I'm trying to remember, I'm pretty sure that in the end it turns out that you committed suicide. But yeah, like I liked that they weren't scared to shy away from their culture in the story specifically. Like, it is a very, very Eastern story. Like, you can tell, like, nothing like this would have happened here. But yeah, that's really all I have for pros. The culture is a pro, but it's also a con to me, just because I don't personally know a lot about the culture. So when you were, not to offend anybody, but when you were rolling the pieces of orange slices, I didn't understand that personally. And I think the last quarter of the game kind of, I know they had to wrap it all up, but they kind of gave up on the horror, I feel, personally.
Yeah, I have that as a note.
But that's all I really have for the story. Pros and cons, anyways. Larry, what pros and cons do you have?
Yeah, so sure. For pros, I really like how the story was shrouded in mystery throughout, and how you were literally guessing as to what the hell was happening until the very, very end of the game.
I will say,
yeah,
I pretty much guessed it right from the start.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I did not. Yeah, I was guessing throughout pretty much until the last like chapter.
Right as soon as she woke up with, I keep getting Ray and Way mixed up just because they're so close. When
just call it this. Let's do the girl and the boy. Make it a little bit easier on yourself.
When the boy was hanging upside down, when she woke up, I figured it was either two things. She killed him, like she was the crazy one who's been killing everybody, or that she's been dead this whole time. I kind of figured it out like right away.
Yeah, see, I really had no idea, which was nice for me. I really like to figure it out, and the story was really in depth, right? Because you found out that there was a teacher in the school who was trying to get banned books and banned material to the students, and trigger warning, I guess, for people who would be offended by this. But you find out that Ray was sleeping with the school counselor, and the teacher who was banning the books found out about it, and people ended up getting killed because of this whole situation. And Ray had a bad family life, which led to her killing herself. It was very dark. It was very heavy material, and for an indie game and for such a short game, I thought they did a really, really good job. I really loved the opening, like when you're playing as the boy, only to have it all kind of invert on you, and you end up playing and he's dead, and then you're playing as Ray. I thought that was very, very cool. And for me, I don't really venture outside my comfort zone when it comes to games, but this one was very, very different and unique from what I normally play, but in a very positive way. As far as cons go, I feel like the time frame of the game is very unclear, and I wanted to know more. Like, I wish there had been more information given about what was going on within the game. That was a little bit frustrating for me. The other part of this story that I really wanted more development, or at least to have better understanding with, was Ray's relationship with her parents, because I understood everything going on within the school and the banned books, and it's kind of the authoritarianism taking place there. But the family dynamic stuff was a little bit hard for me. And then I did end up getting the good ending for this game, and I was surprised that the old guy was Way at the very, very end. So that kind of surprised me. Like I said, these are small cons. I really did enjoy this game, but I do think it would be beneficial if they had a little more time to give to it.
So does that mean, I guess, we both got the good ending?
Yeah, without even I didn't follow a guide or anything, so I was pretty happy when I found out that I got the good ending.
So do you know what happens in the bad ending?
I don't think you go back to the school. I think it just ends, right? I think Way's dead. Yeah, because at the very end when the credits are rolling, if you get the good ending, you are Way, the boy who you were playing at the very, very beginning of the game. But he's an old man, and he goes back to the school and he starts walking through it, and you find out a little bit more about it. But okay, so with that, Justin, what do you give plot?
So I gave plot an 8 out of 10.
Perfect. I did as well.
Yeah, you know what? Again, like, especially compared to Clock Tower 3, like this game was so much better.
It had a really, really good story. I mean, there's knowing what we gave Clock Tower 3. We gave Clock Tower 3. I gave it a 7.5. You gave it a 7. The plot was very, very good for both the games. I just definitely think Detention delivered a little bit better on it. But with that being said, we're going to move on to gameplay. Justin, give me your pros and cons when it comes to the gameplay.
Okay, so gameplay is obviously it's like a point and click. I think that the way they did the enemies, quote unquote, like the lingered, I think that's what they were all called. I can't remember the lantern guy's name.
Yeah, they were called something different, but for the purposes of this, you can just call them the lingered.
Yeah, I think it was interesting that like every chunk of the game, well, I guess really only the first two chunks had like these two different enemies. I think they were well utilized. Like trying to figure out how to get around them. The lantern guys were a little bit more confusing. I died a couple times trying to.
Yeah, me too. I actually had to ask you how to get past them. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I died. I think after the third time, I just got frustrated and I looked at the note again, and that's when it says like, oh yeah, you have to turn away from them and hold your breath. That's the other thing too, is I think they underutilized the holding the breath mechanic.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Sure.
Like I remember that when they first show you how to do it, I just sat there holding it. Like I played on PC, so I sat there holding my right mouse button clicked in, and then my vision started to blur, and then I died. So, but yeah, so point and click, lots of puzzles, lots of like really out there puzzles. I think some of them were explained better than others. Some of them I didn't get like completely. Like the one that stands out to me is actually closer to the beginning. It's like the number translations.
Oh, really?
On the padlock. Yeah, I couldn't get that for the life of me. Yeah. Other than that though, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like I really enjoyed the gameplay.
All right, awesome.
What about yourself, Larry? Like, did you? I know we talked about like the lantern guys, but like, how did you feel? Like you said, you haven't really played like point and click games before.
Yeah, and it's actually not really my forte either. But I mean, some pros I have is I felt the mood and the setting of this game was perfect. Like I really don't think they could have set this game in an environment better than what they did. There are very few enemies or monsters, whatever you want to call them, but I liked how there were unique ways to get by them. I thought that was interesting, especially because there's no combat in this game, right? It's all like kind of sneaking around. I thought that was fun. I really appreciated that there is no like in-game map, but the school isn't hard to navigate, and it's really easy to figure out where you're at and how to get to where you need to go. Which, from Clock Tower 3, which wasn't very good at doing that, I thought this was a markedly increased.
I think there was only like 4, or not 4, but maybe like 5 to 7 screens. Like
yeah.
If you kind of forgot where you were going, it wouldn't really take that long to get there.
Exactly. And another big pro for me, especially because this is a very different kind of game for me, you weren't really punished that badly for dying. Like, they sent you outside and you had to go back in to the school, but you really didn't lose any progress. You didn't lose any items you found, and I really appreciated that. As far as some of the cons I have for the gameplay, where I felt that some of the puzzles weren't all that well explained, I mean, you mentioned that too. For me, I was very, very frustrated toward the end when it came to the radio sequence stuff. So if you haven't played this game, there's a part where you have to tune a radio station, like a radio to different stations, in order to get to different like times and rays past. And there's a lot of puzzles that overlap, and there's no guidance on it. And that was probably the most frustrating part to me. And it really did it. For how fast I was progressing through the story and how hooked I was, getting to that part really slowed it down, and that bugged me. And the last kind of negative I have is, this is probably just from my experience playing a lot of games that are not like this, but I wish there was a larger variety of enemies, or maybe even some bosses you had to get by, because outside of this big stalking monster, which you never have to combat, just at certain points you have to run away from it, there wasn't a lot of variety for me. So that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to the gameplay.
I agree 100%. Like after like halfway through the game too, like after that first part, I don't think you see the especially like super creepy backwards walking girls. Like I don't think you see them after the first part, which sucks, because those were like, I won't lie, the first, like, I played this game in like I think 3 chunks or something like that. But the first time I played it, as soon as I got to like the first one of those, I was like, no, I can't do this tonight. This is terrifying. The lantern guys were freaky, but I know. I wish they used more of the like creepy backwards walking girls.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I do agree with that. But with all that being said, Justin, what did you give gameplay?
So I gave it a 7.
Cool. I gave it a 7.5. So already this game's off
Okay.
to a much better start than poor Clock Tower 3. So moving on to audio.
Hey, you know what?
Go ahead.
If it wasn't for Lord Burroughs, I think Clock Tower 3. I'm never gonna forget Lord Burroughs.
Lord Burroughs will stick with me unless you find another terrible thing for me to have to deal with as the hardest final bosses we're taking on. But with all that being said, Justin, let's head on to the audio. What are your pros and cons for that?
So I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't have any cons with this audio. I think they utilized every piece of audio amazingly. Like from how the rain sounds between being outside or inside a classroom or whatever, even like the sounds of walking up the steps, like the noises the monsters make. Like I mentioned earlier, like the first set of lingering people you run into, they sound absolutely terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really like a ton of, I guess you like quote unquote music. Like it's all a bunch of like ambient kind of background music, background noises until the very end. And I think that was a very good choice because with it being like the only piece of actual music, like it really, really stood out. But yeah, like other than that, like I don't have any cons for this.
Yeah, it's funny. And again, in case our listeners don't know, we don't compare scores beforehand, but it's funny. I had no cons either. Like, in my opinion, I feel that the audio aspect of this game is where it really, really shines. I thought it was beautifully orchestrated throughout. I thought it was moody and dark and situational, and that you had what you needed to have in the right spots. I thought the jump noises that are incorporated at certain points throughout the game, they aren't over the top and they're well placed when they do happen. No, and like you said, like it's taking place during a storm, and you have like the lightning and the rain hitting the windows. And the sounds of the ghosts walking the hallway. No, I really, really was impressed by the audio quality in this game. And again, I think it's the best part about it.
Yeah, I mean, like even just one last point here, just like I'm like in some parts, even like the absence of like any noise,
Mm-hmm.
I think like it really they did a really good job with setting the mood.
Yeah, and sometimes like not even like having no sound can have a profound effect, and that they really, really did do a good job, I thought. But so with all that being said, maybe I can guess your score, Justin. What did you give audio?
Oh, a 10, absolutely a 10.
Yeah, me as well. I really did think that if I were to put it rank it, that it was very good, and I'm hoping we can get more games like this when it comes to how well they incorporate the sound into the scary. But I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's probably not to kind of shoot your hopes down for what you just said, but it's probably one of like the best audio uses in a game I've ever heard. Like it's fantastic.
All right, well, perfect. So now, Justin, on to what I consider the most important part of our rating system. How scary did you find this game?
Okay, so this is where I think there's there's like 4 stages of this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first stage, like the first chunk of the game, is absolutely terrifying. Like I was like I played with headphones at night. I was scared. The second part was, again, it was scary. It wasn't as bad.
Yeah, because you settled in, right? You knew what to expect after going through the first part, so you would. I kind of the same way. You kind of settle in to what you're playing.
Yeah, and like the third part, I'm trying to think. The third part is the radio part, really, and it's scary-ish, but in a different way. Like the game gets less scary as it goes on, not only because you're used to it, but I just feel like they stop really pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, really pushing you. Like, yeah, there's more like jump scary bits in like the radio part, but no real. I think like I don't think there's any monsters in it.
No, there's not really. There are situational stuff, but no monsters.
Yeah, and like the end is just kind of the end. Like nothing really. I don't think anything scary happens at the end.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about it?
Sure. So I found this to be a pretty scary game. I really do think overall it is a scary game. In particular, there's a scene that I still think about that I found very terrifying. And that was when you're in the movie theater area and if you clear the puzzle in the room, as you start to walk out, the lights cut off. and then this empty theater all of a sudden is filled with these like black demonic looking ghosts, and they're giving you a round of applause for clearing the puzzle. And it's very brief,
Yeah.
and it's out of nowhere, and I jumped. I won't lie. Like I said, I played at night too, and I played with headphones. And I jumped. That really really caught me off guard, and I thought that was brilliantly done because I was not ready for that. It was very 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 well done. But like you said, I feel like to no fault of the game, I feel like after you get past the first section and you continue on, you kind of settle in. You know what to expect. There are still those jump scenes, like I said, the theater scene. There are still those like kind of jump scares, but you do settle into the movie, and it doesn't really do anything to kind of take you out of that comfort zone. I did, however, feel that the ending of the game was a lot more sad than it was scary, especially as you start figuring out like the terrible tragedy that happened at that school and the terribleness of what Ray had gone through with being molested by her teacher and her terrible home life. Like it's really sad, and it loses that scary. I mean, it makes sense within the game, and it really makes you kind of think a little bit more deeply, which is why the plot got such a high score. But it does make it less scary and more sad. So it's no fault of the game, and it is scary up to that point, but it does stop kind of becoming a horror game once you realize like what actually is transpiring. With all that being said, Justin, how did you rank the scariness?
So I am actually going to give it a 7.5.
All right, cool.
I always looked at this game like in the 4 chunks. Every time you like pass out and wake up, I guess, to me is like a different a different part of the game.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it as like, was the first chunk scary? Yes. Was the second one? Yeah, not as much, but yes. And the third one, had its jump scares, but the fourth, like the end of the game, like you said, like it's scary wise, like not plot wise or anything, but
yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I gave it an 8.5 because, like I said, this was a scary game. This is probably one of the scarier games I've played in a long time, and I really felt that when it delivered well because the audio was so good, like we both said. And the story was engaging and the gameplay really kept you involved in it. I really did feel that it was scary. But again, I feel like the genre of the game changed at the end. And again, it doesn't make the game worse. It just makes it less scary once you realize everything that was going on. So I ended up giving it an 8.5.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it is a scary game. Like, don't get me wrong. It's
okay.
Like you said, like it has these moments that really stick out to you. Like for you, it was the movie theater. For me, it was I don't know why, but the stupid puppets.
No, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Like I died. I had no idea what was happening, and that threw me off too. Go ahead and describe that scene so the audience knows in case they haven't played it.
So are you talking about when you're getting the puppet? Because there's only one puppet I remember getting.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like when you clear the fireplace puzzle and you're walking out of the puppet room. And before you were fine, but then because you took the light out of the room, the puppets became alive. And as you're walking, like, so there's these puppets.
Oh my god, yeah, I completely forgot about that part.
And when you walk into the room, there's a fire lit. You have to turn off the fire in order to get a puzzle piece out of the fire pit. And then when the light's out, you're walking back out, but the puppets are alive. And they drop down and they strangle you, and you can't get away. And it's like you didn't know what was going to come, and it was very spooky.
Yeah, so well, I forgot about that, but thanks, Larry. Now I will never forget it.
So with that being said, Justin, let's go ahead and wrap these scores up. Give the Here's Johnny official score for this game, and then we can talk about how it ranks the Clock Tower 3. So when it comes to plot, I gave it an 8. Justin, you gave it an 8. When it comes to gameplay, Justin, you gave it a 7. I gave it a 7.5, and Justin gave it a 7. For audio, we both gave it 10s, and when it came to how scary, I gave it an 8.5, and Justin gave it a 7.5. So that makes my score for the game at 85%, and Justin's score at 81%. Averaging those two together is an 83%, which makes this game a B.
Yeah, and I think it really deserves it. Like it.
No, I think that is incredibly fair. I think that is what this game deserves. I think it was great, and I think that it really delivered on what it was trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that when some people see an indie game, because this was an indie game, don't get me wrong, like it was, you could tell it was an indie game
for sure.
But when some people see indie game, not a lot of people nowadays, especially, but some people think, oh, well, it's not going to be as good. I think, like, with what they had, I think they did a fantastic job. Like, kudos.
No, again, this game's only like $14 on PSN and on the Switch and on Steam. It's not that expensive. And obviously, it's only 3 hours long. There isn't a lot to it, but it's worth it. It's worth every dollar. And I'm very, very happy we played it because I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too.
Comparing it to Clock Tower 3, our only other game reviewed so far in the podcast, Clock Tower 3 got a 59%, which was a failing grade. So obviously that is the last place game, and Detention is our first place game.
Good. I think it deserves to be there for now.
Yes, I agree 100%. So then moving on to the last kind of section for our review, Justin, would you recommend this game to a friend in order to scare them?
Oh, absolutely. Even if they just wanted a good half scare, good story, I'd recommend this to anybody. Even if they didn't want to be scared, I'd recommend it to them. I think it's a good game. Would you recommend it to anybody?
Yeah, I would for sure. I really do think it's worth the $14. It's probably the first indie game I've played since Limbo, which I also enjoyed. But I actually have a couple of friends who I told to get, and I know at least one of them got it and he's playing through it. And he's busy with work, so he wasn't able to finish it to kind of send us his thoughts before our review. But no, I thought it delivered. I really thought it was scary. I thought it was fun, especially if you play it with headphones, you play with the lights off. I think you get what you pay for, and I thought it was great. No, this was a good find on your part, and I'm really, really happy we played it.
Yeah, and I mean, apparently these developers, Red Light Candles, apparently they've actually announced that they have a follow-up coming out called Devotion, which even if it doesn't end up on the list of games that we're gonna play, because of how good Detention is, I'm probably just going to play it just by myself.
No, I think they earned a lot of good faith from me, and I would definitely like to play another kind of one of these games. I thought I got what I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
And again, if you have a spare 3 or 4 hours and you'd like to be afraid, this is definitely one to pick up. It is very, very good. It's different from what I normally play, and thus my friends kind of play similar games to what I play.
Yeah.
So I think it would be different for people if you're not used to no combat, walking around, figuring out puzzles, and having to hold your breath in order to get away from enemies. But it's really good, and the story really, really delivers. So, no, I definitely think our audience should check it out. Unfortunately, like I said, this is a newer game, and someone I did know was playing it. They were going to hopefully send it to it, but he wasn't able to finish it in time, which is okay. So we don't have any feedback from our audience. But in the future, if our fans were to get a hold of it and play it, let us know what you think. Send us, and then we'll still read it in the email section. Just go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
But Justin, if you don't have anything else on Detention, we can go ahead and wrap our review up and head on into the email section.
Sounds good.
Now it's time for emails and reviews. Spoiler, a little bit behind the scenes. We're recording this episode a little bit earlier than we normally do within the week, just because, again, life things happen, and I'm actually heading to Utah tomorrow morning. Today's Wednesday. There's a big move planned in my near future out there, so we're going out there checking out apartments, and I have a job interview and such. But yeah, we're heading out there, so we're recording this a little bit early. Thank you, Justin, for being flexible.
Well, thank you for covering me last week. That was behind the scenes. We usually record on Fridays later in the evening, and about 2 hours before recording, I told Larry I was going to the hospital to have a baby. So
yeah, and again, like I said, life happens. We try our best to be flexible with each other, but the biggest thing for our audience is we want to have consistent, fresh material coming out each week, and that's important to us. So if we have to move recording dates around or fill in gaps where we need to, we'll do that. So that being said, we did have no reviews this week on iTunes or Stitcher. Just a reminder to our audience, one of the best ways you can support the podcast is by submitting those reviews.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, we don't pay or plan to pay for advertising or anything. So another big way that you guys could help us out is just telling a friend to listen. That's all it takes, is just, hey, here's this podcast I hopefully like.
Yeah, word of mouth will help us grow. We are starting to get some more traction We're starting to get some more followers on Twitter. We're starting to get some more people joining the Discord, and there's some nice conversations happening there. But it is important, like if you review us on iTunes, that helps the aggregate push our podcast out to more people. So they start searching for horror podcasts that will pop up. So if you get a chance, please, like it doesn't have to be a 5-star review. Give us a 4-star, give us a 3-star, give us an honest take on it. I mean, you heard Hambone George review last week. He was critical, and it's fine. Like we want that. We want that kind of honest feedback so we can continue to grow. So if you get a chance, please just send us a review.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we wanted to maybe bring up here is streaming.
Yes, we need to discuss the streaming, and we also had a question posed in the Discord we wanted to discuss. So which one do you want to do first?
Do you have the Discord question up?
So yes, we did get a question in Discord from user Lady Sylv, and she brought up a good point that I couldn't give her an answer in the Discord because I needed to talk to Justin. I thought it'd be a good discussion to have here. She thinks instead of having a horror comedy season, that we instead do a horror comedy episode in the category we're currently in.
Okay. I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, you know what? I think that actually would make more sense than just having a full season of laughs and jokes. I don't know, like it.
I think it'd be very hard to find horror comedy games, especially good ones that are worth our time reviewing and worth our audience time listening to. So I think going forward, what we'll do is we'll dedicate one whole episode to a horror comedy movie. So that will include films like Cabin in the Woods, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Shaun of the Dead. If they're ones you want to see when we announce what the season's going to be, send us some emails, let us know what you think. But I do think starting with next season, we will include one episode dedicated to a horror comedy film.
Yeah, I actually just got another question on Discord, if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
S. Seagram actually asked if we have considered doing horror series.
Horror series, what does he mean by that?
Like a show, like the Friday the 13th show or...
Oh, television. So, when we were setting up the format for Here's Johnny, before we even recorded the first pilot, this is something we discussed. We discussed television and we discussed books. The problem with horror series, so let's just say, for example, let's say we were to take on American Horror Story. There's what, 10 or... Dogs are being bad. There's like 10 or 12 episodes per season. They're an hour long. I truly feel to do a good job, we would only be able to review 1 or 2 episodes a podcast. So what we're trying to do now is keep everything moving, right? One episode is one thing and keep it going that way. To do a television show or a book, it could bog things down.
Yeah, he did mention maybe just watching like the first 3 episodes and seeing like, is it worth watching, or, you know.
See, I have a problem is that even if it's a crappy show, I will watch it to the end. I'll finish it. I don't know. I think in the future, I would like to do it. Are you afraid of the dark? Like shows like that, or Tales from the Crypt, right? I feel like, or even Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I feel would be like a lot of fun to do. But with all that being said, it will slow the podcast down. It might be something we do in the future. Like maybe we'll do an American Horror Story season and just make the whole season on it. But again, in the meantime, we aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
Just because we wanted it's just a little bit too slow. Because, for example, right, the new American Horror Story show, the new season comes out here in a few months.
Okay.
We could literally do the entire podcast on that. Like each week, we could watch the episode and come on and review it and give our thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But I think our focus is film and game. So for now, we're going to focus on the films and the game. That does not mean we're closing the door on it. It just means it's going to stay in the closet for now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we can find a good, productive way, see, because it would be weird to say, okay, yes, we'll add it into that season, but not watch the whole thing. So like it'd be weird to watch like 1 episode or 2 or 3 and then wait until next season comes around to.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have a lot of subcategories, and let's just say we decide to, in particular, review Coven or Hotel. Like Hotel's about vampires, Coven Without Witches, but we only do the first 3 episodes of that season of American Horror Story, you're going to wait a year and a half or 2 years, we think of the next 3 episodes. I don't think our audience would like that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Feel free to send us an email if you have better ideas on how to handle it. Maybe we can make it a stretch goal on Patreon that if we hit a certain goal, Justin will just take the time out, watch the whole series, record them, and then just put it as like a second episode a week.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, because I mean,
it would be a lot more work, so it would have to be a stretch goal on Patreon. It couldn't just be something we did in the meantime. This is the main focus of the podcast,
Yeah.
but I think maybe something like that would probably be the best way to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Until we can find like a good way to do it, unfortunately, I don't want to shut the doors on it saying no, we'll never do it, because I would really like to do it at some point in time.
Yeah, the only door that's shut right now, Justin, is reviewing Batman. That's the only door that is slammed shut and locked tight.
Never, ever doing that, I guess.
I will not even bring the subject again. All right. So the last thing we wanted to discuss here, it was last week's question of the episode. And me and Justin did get some feedback from listeners on Discord, also on Twitter. So starting with next season, there will be a Here's Johnny Twitch channel. We're going to have at least one night a week where Justin is going to stream. Currently, where I'm at currently, getting ready to, like I said, a big cross-country move. I don't have the capability of streaming myself. It is something I plan on doing once I get out to Utah, since I'll have Google Fiber and I can probably stream a lot better than I could where I'm currently at with Time Warner. But that is on the horizon. Justin, when it comes to what we heard in feedback, I think we should do is only stream horror games, with the focus being on the games we're reviewing. And each week, so it's going to be you. So in my head, I thought, so we'll play the games we're reviewing.
Okay.
When you beat that game and there's downtime before the next one, you can just play another horror game.
Okay.
What kind of your thoughts? What was your feedback or your feelings on the feedback?
I figured, I'm just trying to think. I feel like that could work, yes. Doing only horror games. My only concern is that, I mean, perfect example is, let's say next season started tomorrow, which it doesn't, but let's say it starts tomorrow. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna play the game we picked, and I'll stream that. But in between, I might not play another horror game, right? I might just, next week, Dragon Quest 11 comes out. So I mean, in between playing whatever game we have picked, I'm gonna be playing that game. So when I beat whatever game, I might not want to go right to another horror game.
So then, and again, that entails my problem is that, just like everything else with Here's Johnny, my blog, right? My blog posts every Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
There will always be a blog post every Tuesday morning. There will always be a podcast every Monday morning. That is something I want to keep consistent. So let's say next season, Thursdays is a streaming day.
Okay.
I understand, because these horror games are short, that playing it for 3 hours a week, you'll get done fast.
Oh yeah.
In my honest opinion, I want to have that Twitch stream up every Thursday or whatever day we decide to do it for those 3 hours, and I want it to be horror, but I don't. Again, this is convince me otherwise. I don't, especially from the feedback we got last week about the Batman stuff. I don't want to deviate from the horror. Yes. Here's Johnny is a horror podcast. So the Here's Johnny Twitch needs to be a horror-themed Twitch channel. And there are enough knockoff horror games that I feel like we can do that without going into our list and ruining our list.
Yes, I agree that only horror games probably should be on there. I mean, unless we hear more feedback about, no, just stream all the time or whatever you can, you know what I mean? My only concern is that, yes, okay, we stream horror games, but what if, let's say I beat horror game A, and then it's 6 weeks until the next horror game.
But then that's my fears, and I would rather not even stream it than, if we aren't going to keep a consistent weekly stream posted.
I see what you're saying now. So, okay, I think if you're okay with this, we can take this back and kind of figure it out. And hopefully have a solid plan maybe next week or the following week.
Again, me and Justin like to have these discussions on the podcast so you can kind of see where our thought process is at with our audience. If you disagree or you agree or whatever, send the feedback in, let us know. But before we start and launch next season, with the last episode of this season, which will be the crappy ghost horror movie, we will lay out everything when it comes to the stream, and it will be fun then. But at least now you kind of know that with everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we obviously no reviews. We had some feedback, some questions and stuff. We are going to head on into closing time. Well, it's that time again, everybody. The Here's Johnny podcast is wrapping up another episode. We want to take this time to let everyone know that next week we will be doing a deep dive on director James Wan.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it. I mean, I watch movies here and there, but I'll be 100% honest, I don't really know a lot about the people like behind it. So I'm excited to learn more about him.
Well, I think you'll know a lot about him because you mentioned earlier you like Saw.
Well, I love Saw.
That's one of James Wan's first movies.
Yeah.
He has really cut his teeth in horror, but he has done non-horror films as well, which we will talk about too. That leads us into the question of the episode for this week. We would like to know what your favorite James Wan movie is. If it isn't a horror movie, that's fine. Just send us an email. Let us know what your favorite is and let us know why it's your favorite. We would love to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like we did talk about earlier, maybe at the end of that episode, us having a list of our own favorite James Wan movies. I think that's a good idea. Like,
yeah, we'll talk about our favorites are and like where we're excited to see not only his films, but he's spurned a lot of spin-offs based on the movies he really created. There's a lot to discuss when it comes to James Wan. So yeah, so next episode for next week, please send us an email and let us know what your favorite James Wan movie is. Another reminder on our Twitter, pinned at the top of our feed, is the Survey Monkey to vote on your favorite crappy ghost movie for us to review.
13 Ghosts.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I will say there is a very close race between two of the movies. It's within a vote of each other, which I'm really surprised about. So that poll will be up for probably 2 more weeks. Then we'll close it and we'll announce what the winner is at that point. But yeah, make sure you hop on there and vote.
Yeah, I mean that Twitter again is at Here's Johnny Cast, and you can reach me at Pickle Thing.
On Twitter, you can reach me at BeaverLA. Once again, the links for the Discord and the website will be in the description for the episode. Discord, hop on there and talk to the users. It's actually starting to pick up a little bit, which is really, really nice. And then the website, the master list is on there for both the games and the movies. Start next week, I will have the score on there as well.
Yeah, you can send your questions in through the website as well, which is really neat. And and if you get a second, you can always check us out on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Here's Johnny Podcast. We've kind of tweaked it a little bit. I'm always hoping to feedback with it. And again, we're not looking to get rich or anything. We're just everything that comes in from the Patreon is going to go back into the show.
And if you're able to donate $6.66, you get to force a movie review. And that movie review happens once your first monthly donation is received. So you'll be able to disrupt the whole flow of the podcast to get your movie heard. So hop on there, take a look. Again, it will help us, now that we're going to start moving into streaming and stuff, it'll help us just give you guys the best quality product. All right, Justin, anything else before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I also just realized that at $10 they could really derail us and put a game in there. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, please, I would.
Oh man, I am afraid of that because in case you guys don't know, the games where I'm weakest at, and I know there are some brutal ones. Like I feared the time when someone puts some trash on there.
Oh, and I feel like it is gonna happen. Like if it happens, I feel like it's gonna be trash.
Oh. Well, I hope it is. I mean, that makes for a better podcast, but I also hope it's not because I like my sanity.
And you know what? Even if it is, I will try my hardest to stream it. If I able to stream it, I will stream it.
But with all that being said, Until next week, remember, if you start to nod off in class, be careful, because when you wake up, your school may not be what you remember it.